Have you ever spent a lot of money on something and you just can't figure it out? Something's not clicking. The words they use in the operator's manual are just not what's going on in your brain. Well, that's the reason that we right here at Murphy Brothers do a walk around with our customers when they buy a new tractor, a new piece of equipment. We want that customer to understand and at least hear some of the lingo that we use, so if there is an issue, when they call, they're not talking about that thingabob. We need to know that, hey, you're talking about your ball joint, or you're talking about your curl cylinder, your bucket level indicator. We want to use some of the same terms. So this is a walk around like we give to you when you purchase a new tractor from Murphy Brothers. Come and check these LS tractors out. I believe you'll be very, very happy. We've been very happy as a dealer, and our customers are in general very happy. So come check out the walk around, or go with me and watch the walk around for the MT242 and 232E. That's 32 and 42 horsepower. You may have seen our video on our channel about a walk around for an MT226E. Well, that is the same chassis, same axles, same transmission, different engine. The 32 and the 42E run a Yanmar engine. So the dipsticks are in a little bit different location, that kind of thing. I want to show you that. This is also a cab model, so I'm going to show you some stuff about the cab. So let's get started. Just like any of our LS tractors, our buckets are universal skid steer coupled. I've got this one turned over so you can see the handles a little easier. You do not take it off in this position. The bucket needs to be sitting flat like it's scooping along the ground, but I wanted you to be able to see this. Now they have added right here, I'm not sure if you can see that, but here's a grease fitting on both of these collars where the pin slides in and out. Oh, that's going to be glorious. Now that's only as glorious as you greasing it. What happens on a quick coupler, you get a lot of dirt and a lot of debris there. It is metal on metal, so you do get some rust and that kind of stuff there. If that rusts up, if that gets a bunch of dirt and rock and that kind of stuff in it, it's not going to be as easy to take your bucket off and put on your forks or your grapple or your auger or whatever attachment you're using. So the grease fittings, in my opinion, is a huge plus. Now, every joint on the loader, anything that moves is going to grease. Right here, greases from the end pin. From the end pin, from the end of the pin, from the end of the pin. You can see every one of these grease from the end of the pin. Every joint, everything that moves on that loader is going to grease. While we're talking about greasing, you can also see under here on your front trunnion where the axle pivots back and forth, you see a grease fitting here, but also look right through here. There's a grease fitting on the rear trunnion now. Used to, this size tractor only had it on the front. Now it greases front and back. I'm a big grease. The more grease fittings it has, the more I like it. If you're greasing it, if you're not greasing it, you're not gonna like it. But if you're greasing it, it's gonna last longer. Now, as we step back, one of the first things I look at on my tractor, and with a Yanmar engine, they've done a tremendous job on your water separator. You see you got a red ring in here. Well, that's all fuel. Well, if that red ring starts floating, you may even see a different coloration between the fuel on top and the water or algae or debris on the bottom. Very simply, drain that out. Very simply. You can actually turn the key on. It's got an electric fuel pump that will pressure that out. Get all that trash out the bottom, tighten it back up. There is a filter in there. Eventually, you'll have to change that filter. It's also got a secondary fuel filter back under here as well. Now, once we've greased the front loader, when we get to the other side, we'll talk about the grease fittings on the front axle. But at this point, I'm gonna raise the hood. You've got one button right here. Push the button, give it a raise. It does have a cylinder in there to help raise it up, hold it for you. You can see your air filter is right here, very easy to get to. Comes off from the end, raise your loader up, get to it, super easy. You do have battery located right in the front, very easy to get to. Overflow jug for your coolant, but your radiator cap is right here. Now this is your computer, your brain box. This is what tells that engine how to time, when to regen, that kind of stuff. Now this tractor does not take any DEF fluid. You don't generally get into DEF fuel or DEF fluid until you get about 80 to 90 horsepower on most brands of tractors. This one does not take DEF. I'm very pleased with that. This is the same engine in the Yanmar engine, or same family of engines, that we've been selling in Yanmar excavators since 2015. When LS introduced this tractor with this engine in it back at the dealer meeting, I wanted to stand up and shout. I was so excited. We've been selling this engine in these excavators. I've had one call. The guy just didn't know what to do when the light come on, said it was regenerating. I said, crank it back up and get back to running it. Now, that was on an excavator. You've got to be careful and you've got to be very prudent about this. So a lot of us weekend warriors, homeowners, folks that maybe don't have as much equipment or diesel experience, we might grab the first dirty 5-gallon bucket and put fuel in it, okay? It doesn't matter how good or how clean the fuel is that you buy. If you put it in a dirty container and you put it in your tractor, you put it in your diesel engine, it is not gonna run right. Those guys in the excavator world, generally they've got a transfer tank with a water separator, they're buying high quality fuel. It's not about treatment, maybe up north, possibly, but here in the south, it's not about treatment, it's about buying clean fuel, transporting it in a clean container, and making sure you're straining it when you put it in your tank into your piece of equipment. So I've not had any issues out of these engines, but like I say, it's up to you what kind of results you get out of that. Just like a computer, garbage in, garbage out. So this computer, it does have a decal. Don't use a pressure washer directly on this. You could force the gasket in between the two halves of the protective housing, so just be careful with that. Like I say, radiator, air conditioner, condenser. This is a cab, so you've got an air conditioner condenser right here. Looks like a little radiator. If that's stopped up, you are not gonna have cold air. You must keep that blown out. That needs to be blown out probably more than your radiator needs to be blown out. Your air conditioner will not work. Did you hear me? It will not work if this is stopped up. It won't work long. This is the biggest thing we see on anybody with air conditioner. They drive a diesel truck, they drive it on the road. Well, I don't have to clean it out on that. Well, you're not bush hogging with that truck. Just get out there and drive around in that field before you bush hog it with your truck, and you'll be cleaning that out too, because if the air can't cross that condenser and cool that, you're gonna build up head pressure in the compressor's gonna lock up, it's gonna quit working. So keep your condenser clean. Now, behind that, you've got your radiator, and there is a screen. There is a wing nut on the other side that screen will slide out from the side. Eventually, you'll still have to blow out the radiator. This is the screen here. You can see on the other side, should be a black, I call it a wing nut or a thumb nut, right here. Take this thumb nut off. This will slide out to the side, and you can shake that out in the field. But eventually, you got to get in there with an air comb and blow that radiator out. Keep your engine cool. Like I tell in every video, a diesel engine won't take two things. It won't take running hot, and it won't take dirty air. Air filter's right there in the front. Keep a check on that. If you need to check that air filter, this is a new system here. This just slides out. Give it a half a twist and it comes out so easy. That is a great setup. When they first came out, I didn't know how to work it. But a lot of people on air filters, they want to blow this out very violently. You got to be careful. If you bump this out, you can blow it out with low pressure air. But if this is dirty, do yourself a favor. Look at it real good. If you're not sure, replace it. Because if you get dirt in that engine through that turbo, you're going to be replacing at least a turbo, but more than likely you're going to get an engine wrong. So air filter is the lifeblood of the tractor, okay? Put that back in there. And what a lot of people don't understand, they go and they buy aftermarket air filter. Oh, it's only an 1/8 inch too short or a 1/4 inch too short. Well, what seals on that is this seal in here on the inside of this. Well, the pressure of this cap is holding this seal next to the tube. So if this is too short, you may have that 1/8 or a 1/4 inch of space here letting dirt in. You don't want to dust an engine, I promise you. So make sure you use the right filters. Now I can't get it in. There it is. All right, I'm gonna press it in by hand. Something else. These are marked generally top or bottom, but if it's not, you've got a poofer boot right there, I call it. This is to collect and release the dirt. This is like a separator, particle separator on this end of the cap. That stuff's gonna float around in here and it's gonna collect in this area here. you can squeeze that. If you squeeze that and you got a bunch of debris falling out, that's a real good sign. You probably need to look at the air filter itself. But we'll put this back on here. Push it on. It's locked on. Now I'm going to push in the lock, and she really won't come off now. Okay. Now, let's move back to the other side. Let's get the dipstick. We talked a while ago about the water separator. This engine has got a engine oil drain on the bottom. Oil filter here. Not sure if you can see through the grate, but this is where you add your engine oil here. These panels will come off with little Phillips head screws. I like to leave them on because that does keep some debris out of that engine compartment. And then of course you've got an electric fuel pump. I think my hand's on it right there. That's your electric fuel pump. So when you turn the key on, you're gonna hear click, 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 and that's gonna pressurize the system. That's a good thing for bleeding out your fuel filters. I really do like that. Now, leave the hood up for now. Come back to the back. Washer fluid for your front wiper. When you get a cab, you do get one set of auxiliary hydraulics. If you get an open station, you can add this, but it comes standard on the cab. Top link, drawbar, of course. Now, these new MT2Es do have a heavier set of stabilizers on them. I really like those. You do need to keep those lubricated and kind of free of dirt. When you first get it, it's gonna have paint on it. You may have to take a wire brush and clean that off, but those stabilizers, they're not as easy to hook up as telescoping stabilizers, but they're a little more, let's see, how can we put this? A lot of people don't pay attention on how to use a telescoping stabilizer, so they bend them. It's not the stabilizer's fault, but this is gonna be a little bit more, we'll have a little bit more guts for the people that's not paying attention, okay? Now, of course, your slow moving vehicle sign does move out of the way. This could save your life. Leave it on the tractor if you're going to be out at night, but if you need to see right here, it's easy to take off. Now, fuel. I love where they've moved the fuel cap to. Fuel cap is right here over the top of the fender. You still have a strainer to strain that fuel as you're putting it in there. I have found people that poke these down in the tank and don't get them out, or they don't use that, or they just pull them out when they're putting fuel out of that dirty bucket, and that's where you get acorns and fishing floats and trash and everything else floating in your fuel. That's not going to work long. So like I say, strain your fuel right here. Now, while we're here, I'm not sure if you can see this one or this one better, but I want you to be able to see these new tires. This is a hybrid tire. They call this an R14. This is a cross between an ag tire and an industrial tire. I like the fact that you still get a large footprint, a wide and long footprint, giving you more traction, but this extra lug that's in the middle makes that tire ride like a champ. I love these new tires. I wish I had them on my personal tractor. But like I say, that's the R14 tire. It is as resilient as an industrial tire, but you get a little bit more traction like the ag tire, and you still get the flotation of the industrial as well. So I really do dig these tires. These do cost a little bit more, but that to me is a huge plus and well worth a little bit of money. Now, forgot one thing. This fuel tank sticks out, so it's blocking my view, but I want you to look right in here. This is your hydraulic oil dipstick. Hydraulic oil dipstick comes right here. Saw a video the other day, a guy had taken this and used like a permanent marker and just colored that fluid. I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera. It is very clear. It is like water. You can't hardly tell how much is on there, but you've got two marks as long as you're between these two marks. Now you want to check that with the tractor sitting flat and the loader down. All your fluid, as much as you can, put back into the reservoir, the tank, rear end, whatever you want to call it, rear end transmission. But like I say, if you can't see it, just touch it with your finger. You can easily see if you've got any in there or not. If you have to add it, you add it back in the same hole. Now, we've talked about these videos about LS having a cast iron transmission housing, cast iron differential housing, cast iron axle housing. None of that has changed. This is the same axle housing, transmission housing, front axle housing as what we've always had on this size tractor. So that is still a great heavy, LS is still a good heavy tractor, in other words, but you've got some components there that are built out of the right stuff that's not gonna fail on you. So come on around this way. Back to greasing. Don't forget, both sides of this loader have to grease. You got two arms, you got two sets of stuff to grease. Every joint on that loader is gonna grease. Now also on this side, you've got your steering component. You got your steering cylinder. You got a grease fitting on this end and under the other end, the bottom end down here. You got grease, see the grease on my finger. That tractor is gonna grease on, or this cylinder is gonna grease on both ends. Right here, I'm not sure if you noticed, but on the other side, here's one right here, you had a blue cap. That blue cap is a breather. You can unscrew that and fill it from there, but the dipstick is actually on this. Generally on an LS tractor, if you see something painted white, it's a place to add, fill, or check. Tie rod end is sealed on these tractors here. You do still have steel hood. Fender is now plastic, but you're still under here where it counts. I'm not sure if you see under there, you still got the black steel fender here. You can feel the lip right there, that is still steel, but the fender right here is just to protect the glass, so that is plastic there. Now, let's shut this hood and get in the cab. You want to shoot from this side and I'll come around. Now, the MT242E and 232E are available in shuttle or hydrostat. Now, when you go to a cab, it's hydrostat only. I'm a hydrostat fan, so that's fine by me. Now, in this tractor, your hydrostatic controls are over here. Your pedals forward and reverse. Your brakes are on the left side. You don't even have a clutch pedal. If this were a shuttle shift open station, you'd certainly have a clutch over here and your brakes be on this side and you'd have a shuttle lever. Now, you do have tilt wheel in the cab. I really do like that. Of course, you've got all your light controls here, throttle position, PTO, just a simple switch, push down, turn it on, let it come up, to turn it off, right here, very easy. You do have a full range of motion, 3-point hitch control. You can put it down as far as you want or up as high as it'll go. You do have a stop, so you can raise the stop up if you want to bush hog at the same height everywhere, put it to the same spot. This is your control for your auxiliary valve, your rear valve. You do have a charge port for your phone, 12-volt outlet. This is the same switch we talk about in all these videos. They still use this switch. It doesn't go to anything. I say it doesn't go to, it's wired to the corners of the cab, but that is for a flashing beacon overseas that we don't use here in the States. Got your front wiper, hold it down to wash. These are just other positions. If you wanted to add top cab lights, front and rear, you could add that here. You could add a rear wiper here, and then you've got your extras for different accessories. Just like all the rest of it, if the key was on, you touch down there and click, dome light comes on. Sorry for all the racket, I should have already had this off. But you can see you've got a very nice seat. Right down beside the seat, you've got your park brake, emergency brake, drop speed control. See this decal right here? With this opened all the way up, when you move your 3-point hitch down, the 3-point hitch is going to drop faster. The more you screw this in, the slower that's going to drop. However, as you screw it in, it's just like a water hydrant on your house. As you screw it in, you're going to eventually cut it off. So the hitch will go up. But if it's cut all the way off, this is just on the drop side or return side. If it's tightened in there like that, you can move this lever all the way down. It's not going down until you unscrew this. Now, if you're tightening like this, you got a heavy attachment and you push this down, you can't turn this knob by hand. So crank the tractor back up, raise your 3-point hitch to the up position, takes the pressure off of this, open this back up. Now you can drop your 3-point hitch at the speed you want. Now, you do have a suspension seat in the cab, position here, does have recline here. Now on a hydrostat, you've got 3 ranges: low, medium, neutral, and high. Low and medium is where you're going to live. You need to stop the tractor before you shift that. That's not something you're going to start off in low and cram it into medium and then cram it into high. You will tear up something like that. When you shift that range, you be stopped. Tractor can still be running, but you don't need to be rolling. Shift that tractor, or shift it with it sitting still. If that's ever in a bind and does not want to move freely, don't yank on it and force it and stand up on it. Feather your forward and reverse pedal back and forth just very slightly, and that will relieve the pressure. Shift it very easily after that. Now, on a hydrostat, your differential lock, that locks your rear tires together. That's moved over to the other side because you can't control this and that at the same time. On a gear drive tractor, it would be over here. 4-wheel drive control is right here. That is not for your foot. Just like on that range, if that ever doesn't want to shift, it may be in a little bit of a bind. So roll back and forth very slightly, feather your pedal, and that's going to let it come up and down very, very easily. Now, let's swap sides real quick where you can see the air conditioner controls, and we'll just rotate real quick. All right. This has got a little lid, keeps it down, keeps the dirt off of it and that kind of stuff. With the lid up, you see your air conditioner controls, your temperature settings, your fan settings, and that has to be on. You have to push this on, and that little light will light up blue when the compressor is on. So, like I say, if you don't have that light on, just click right there, just like I'm doing, turn the air conditioner on. Now, radios do not come standard in these tractors, but this is the factory radio. We always install these radios on all our cab tractor customers. But this right here, I'm not going to have a cab tractor without a radio. Now, right up here, this is determining recirculated air conditioning or fresh air. Now, you do have a diagram above and below. You probably can't see it in the video, but one way is going to be fresh air, and the other way will be recirculated air. On my personal tractor, I run it on recirculated air all the time. I'm generally running a cutter, rotary cutter, bush hog, whatever you want to call it. A lot of flying debris, a lot of dust. I don't want to introduce that extra dirt into the cab of the tractor and into my lungs, so I keep it on recirculated air, so I'm just recirculating the same air. So make sure you're in the right position right there. It will cool better on recirculated air as well. I think that this is about everything on this tractor, but I want to show you something. This is a small frame tractor. I'm 6'3", 300 pounds. I want you to look at the headroom when I get in this tractor. Lots of room in this cab tractor. I can spread my elbows out. I just looked over here. I want to show you one more thing. On the cab, you've got some additional fuses, just like on some of our larger LS tractors. These fuses have to do with simply your cab controls. Your main fuses are going to be under the steering wheel, and I can see it from right here. It's very easy to get to. If you have any questions, any concerns, if you'd like to buy one, give us a call. We're Murphy Brothers Trading in Booneville, Mississippi. Our phone number is 662-720-0022. You can find us on YouTube, find us on Facebook. We'd love to earn your business. Love to tell you more about the tractor. If you've already got one of these tractors, you got a question, don't hesitate to call on us. We'd love to help you. So come see us if you can, and thank you for watching.